As everyone is aware, the biggest news right now is the Air Malaysia flight that has crashed in Ukraine and the massive amount of controversy that surrounds it. At this time, it's being reported that 280 people are dead, along with 15 crew members. And this has become a very big thing. And both sides in the conflict, both the pro-Russian and the pro-Ukrainian side, have both denied involvement in this incident, yet they have both pointed fingers to the other side. This is just new. There's not a lot of information out right now, so we do have to wait until more comes out before we can start deciding who it is that did this or who is most likely to have committed it. There is, however, one thing that all sides can agree on. This plane was definitely shot out of the sky. This was not an accident. This plane was attacked by some forces somewhere in the country. One of the more popular beliefs going around is that this was an attempted assassination on Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, we do know for a fact from previous statements that this path that the Air Malaysia flight was taking is the one that, Russian VIPs did take. Now, when we look at the two planes side by side, we do notice that they look very similar. So I believe that it is not beyond reason that the Ukrainian government or the CIA thought that this was the Russian president and made an attempt to shoot it down. I wouldn't put it past them at all to try this. Political assassination is a very common tactic, one Vladimir Putin himself has used against opponents. But the Russian government is saying that while that is their flight path they take, the Russian president has not flown over Ukraine in quite some time, for obvious reasons. According to unconfirmed reports right now, as of the time of this recording, it is being said that the Air Malaysia flight was about 10,000 meters off the ground when it went into trouble and disappeared off the radar. What's being said right now is that it appears that it was hit by a missile. Now, a missile hitting something at 10,000 feet, a surface-to-air missile, is extremely technically complicated and not something just anybody could have pulled off. You would need, significant, sophisticated military technology in order to do so. A lot of people are saying that there's no chance that the self-defense forces in the Donetsk region are actually guilty of this. They don't possess the necessary military hardware. An expert says that only S-300 and Buk surface-to-air missiles are capable of hitting targets at this altitude. The Buk is a family of self-propelled medium-range surface-to-air missile systems developed by the former USSR and Russia to engage targets at an engagement altitude of 11,000 to 25,000 meters, depending on the model. Now, Yuri Karash, who is an aviation expert and a pilot himself, says the plane would have to have been shot down by the Ukrainian military. A Boeing 777 is an extremely reliable piece of machinery. Modern planes don't just crash with no reason, he said. Let us recall how the Ukrainian missile downed a Russian Tu-154 aircraft 10 years ago. I can't completely exclude the possibility that a Boeing 777 was also hit by a missile. I don't know who could have shot it down, but I can allege that it was most likely the Ukrainian armed forces, simply because its military, anti-aircraft defense in particular, are, unfortunately, unqualified. As judging by the overall state of the Ukrainian armed forces, insufficient attention has been paid to their training. While investigations are still ongoing, good old reliable John McCain went on television to proclaim that he believes the KGB shot down the plane. He said that he claims that the rebels in the Donetsk region are former KGB agents. Of course, many of them are actually old enough to be KGB agents, and the fact that the KGB no longer exists. Now, with this claim, he believes that they shot them down because they would have had the training to do something like that. Except you need more than training to do something like that. You literally need the hardware in order to do it. Being a good shot with a rifle means you still need to have a rifle. Now, a lot of people are saying that they smell CIA, and this has got CIA fingerprints all over it. If this actually did turn out to be a false flag operation by the CIA, I really wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this does seem something that would suit their purpose very well. It would end up dragging other countries into the conflict, particularly someone like Malaysia. Now, while Malaysia doesn't have a particularly large military or even really much of a stake in this situation, they do have somewhat of a relationship with Russia. and they can be looked at as a completely innocent victim, which they are. And then if you fabricate evidence that Russia did this, it would be an attempt to turn the whole situation around against Russia. The fact is, U.S. imperialism is no stranger to using such techniques. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was faked. The time that Israel actually bombed the USS Cole and then blamed it on, the terrorist Arab forces. So they're not, new to this. There's also the revealed attempt that they were going to blow up a plane without anyone in it over Cuba, and then blame the Cuban government for it to use it as a pretext to invade. So they're not, these kind of tactics are not unknown to them. It's not something they haven't used in the past. In my personal opinion, given the amount of information we have right now, I definitely believe this was an attempted assassination of Vladimir Putin. The technology wasn't there for the Donetsk rebels to have done it, and it wouldn't benefit them in any way. I do, however, think that it's not, that while it is a coincidence, it seems very likely that the Ukrainian government may have thought that the Air Malaysia flight was Russian forces. Now, not necessarily the Ukrainian government itself, but their paramilitary forces, their external, non-official military forces, and who knows what kind of military hardware they have. Because Russia has sent helicopters into the country before. So it seems very likely that they would have something capable of shooting at some kind of aircraft. So I do believe, given the evidence that exists right now, this was an attempted assassination of Vladimir Putin. Of course, a lot more information is going to be coming out in the next couple of days, couple of weeks, and frankly, a couple of months. But as it stands right now, with the information available, I do believe this was an attempted assassination of Vladimir Putin.